really seems to be normalizing violence. And imagine what the rest of those kids in that class were feeling, and then not just feeling, but coming to understand that for the boys in that classroom, it's okay to sexually abuse a girl because there's no consequences if you do it. And for the girls, it's, well, I guess that's normal. I guess boys are allowed to do that too. And I mean, that's just horrifying in our society today. This is what we're teaching kids in grade 3 and 4.
And we were really upset watching our granddaughter go back to school. She was not given a voice
Or
in
any
this
support.
experience. She was 8 years old, so she was in grade 3, and she was doing a presentation in front of her French class. As she was speaking, a student in the front row, a boy who was in grade 4, stood up, approached her, and grabbed her by the nipples and squeezed them and twisted them so hard that she collapsed in pain in front of the class.
I think it's important to note also that this was not the first incident with this particular student, that he had been really making her life difficult at school over the previous many months by, through bullying, through sexual innuendo, harassment.
He had attacked a educational assistant by punching her in the stomach, and she asked to change assignments because she was pregnant. He punched a principal in the face, pulled down his tie and punched him in the face. A new principal came and he poked her in the eye with a stick.
One of the most frightening things to me, Anwar, was an incident where he was in the classroom with the other students without a teacher and locked the door. So all of these kids who are already afraid of him are locked in this classroom, and there's no way for the teachers to get in.
He had been hitting, scratching, punching. One parent who supported us with a letter talked about how the boy had touched him in his private parts in the bathroom several times, and he wasn't able to defend himself. This seems to be the problem with some of the strategies that are being put in place. They're not consequences. Their consequences are now called learning opportunities. In this case, the boy received a reward within 2 weeks after the incident with our granddaughter. He received a toy robot as a reward because he'd gone several days without hurting anybody or we hadn't realized this wasn't an isolated incident. So we started hearing about the stories of wiggle walks that had been going on in the classroom. This was a classroom evacuation because this student had made it so that the classroom wasn't safe.
There's no communication, there's no transparency, there's no discussion. It's just kind of like the board has this wall that you can't pass. were essentially all ignored. The superintendent, I think, got back with a less than adequate response.
Looking at the Safe Schools Act and the Hamilton-Wentworth Safe Schools Policy, it's a lot of jargon, and there's nothing there that gives a definitive action to violence or aggression or problems like we experienced.
The associate director finally contacted them, Sue Dunlop. The experience was extremely unpleasant and unhelpful. She was rude, she was belligerent, she was accusatory, she was unsympathetic.
In fact, she questioned the veracity of our granddaughter's incident, even though it was witnessed by an entire classroom and a teacher.
Clearly, she was subjected to physical abuse, and that there were no consequences for that action. So how does that keep anybody safe? It's just an unbelievable experience. This is how our victims are treated, and we see this in our court systems. We don't need this in our schools. We need a supportive environment for everybody.